The worst thing someone can do for you is tell you that you're enough. You have to understand that you are not enough. You have a lot more within you. You have a lot more potential within yourself to actualize. Now, most of you cap yourself below the cap. Most of you standardize yourself below the standard. And most of you compromise yourself from ever actually pursuing, developing, and actualizing your complete potential. Most of you guys sit there and you seek out for people to validate you for being a lesser individual when you know for a fact you have more within you. And so you compensate for that knowing, that lack. The way you compensate is by seeking out people to validate you for being that. And so the worst people in your life are the people that tell you you're enough, that tell you that you're okay where you're at, that tell you that, you don't have to go forward, where you're at is enough. And those people, they don't outstandingly say you're good where you're at, but they'll compliment you when deep down we all know you have a lot more potential within you. And so what you actually and factually have to do is look at the effort you put in, and not your effort, but the effort that you can put in, the maximum potential of what you can actualize. Most of you guys, you're below the threshold of ever reaching that level for yourself personally, internally, developing, and then creating something externally. Most of you guys, you sit here at this 1% bullshit and then get mad at the results and lie to yourself that you're doing enough. And so what you need to understand is that what you put in is what you get out. And if you're going to put in some 1% half-ass bullshit, well, that's exactly what the fuck you're going to get out. So instead of getting mad at everything, get mad at yourself and then use that anger, transmutate it into actually putting more than 1%, you ground fucking level bitch. This is that straight up. You have to understand that most of you guys are straight pussy, and especially when it comes to putting in work on yourself. Most of you guys seek instant reward if you're not getting something out, if you can't simply put in work for your own development and your own prestige development for yourself, to love yourself and to demonstrate that through action. Most of you guys, you sit there, you put in the 1%, you lie to yourself that you're doing enough, you sat there, occupied space, did nothing, and then expect results to fall out of the ether to congratulate you on how much time you wasted being a low-level bitch. And so the best thing to do is look in the mirror and actually ask yourself, is that enough? And then you'll come to the conclusion that it's not, because there's people drastically outperforming you, and the gap between who you are and what you should be, what you could be, is so fucking big that now we have to actually sit there and watch you in astounding disappointment for how mediocre you actually are as a person. To sit there and know your full capacity, but to be actively operating from 1 to 2%. And so when you realize that you're that low level of an individual, you have two options: to sit there and flounder like a floundering fucking fish, to sit there below your capacity and to stagnate in these lower qualities, and then to embrace them and identify with them and then compensate for them through the way you behave as an individual, to lie to yourself and to navigate yourself in your own internal matrix, to pretend like these lower qualities don't exist, and to come up with qualms and cadences within yourself to pretend like they don't exist. I mean, you guys have to understand that your belief system is literally compensating for your inadequacy. That's why every time you see a Ferrari has to be rented, is because you internally know you can't even fathom the ideation of you being in that. And so therefore you have to minimize and shrink what's in front of you, because you as the individual are already shrunken to such a degree that, now we have to actually observe and be aware of the impotence of your character. And so what you need to do is understand that the habits that you put your time and energy into is going to reflect your character. And so most of you guys believe that you're worth the Pornhub. Most of you guys believe you're worth the addictions, which means you're worthless, because all of those things give you nothing. What you're doing is wasting your time and your energy. And time and energy, literally, when you look in front of you with your fucking eyes and observe reality, you'll see that time and energy create. When we look at the universe, time and energy is literally the tools for creation. So what you do every time you waste that is proving to God why you are a waste of time and energy, because that is what you do. So you prove to yourself and God why you are a waste of time and energy. And so when you feel like shit, well, it's just a reflection of what you put your time and energy into. Why do you feel so positive? How do you have so much energy? How do you have so much, momentum? How do you compound yourself into such a formidable primordial fucking savage? You wake up every day at 3 a.m. You wake up every day, you pursue your development, you maximize yourself in every endeavor, and you create such a big gap between the people around you and yourself you create such a big gap between who you were and who you are that the people around you have to now reflect on how low in level and mediocrity and how mediocre they actually are and how much they embrace. So mediocrity is a fucking religion. And so what you need to do is actually look in the mirror and reflect on the individual that you are and realize that what you are is not what you could be. And then when you realize that what you could be is much greater than what you are, you now have a gap to fulfill. And that gap that you must fill is through the brute savage work of working on yourself every fucking day. And you simply do that by removing all negative habits, especially the addictions, and then compounding the already positive habits that you have and adding more, surplusing as a individual, compounding, becoming more, developing into more. Most of you guys are moving backwards in the space and fucking time continuum. Most of you guys are destroying yourself passively. The addiction is simply just a motive to passively kill yourself, but instead of actually being conscious about it, you sit there and you use the vape in the bottle to escape. So what you need to do is truly reflect on your character, and you have to look at every fucking habit that you have, and then you have to find out the root causality of why you do that, and you have to find out, what this actually reflects about your internal state. Most of you guys don't actually reflect on who you are as a person. Most of you guys don't understand that the porn addiction is deep rooted with some insecurity in your mind, and you are now channeling that insecurity through the porn addiction. You have to understand that to sit there, beat your meat every night, is to go to show how much of a primitive, underdeveloped, low quality bitch you are. You guys sit there and you waste your life essence. You guys sit there, you passively kill yourself through vape. You guys try to escape yourself with weed. You guys need everything but the realization of how much of a floundering fucking low-level piece of shit you are. And so what you need to do is reflect on your character. Most of you guys can't even embrace the flaws within yourself without creating resistance, because the resistance is so great. You are such a low-level character that the resistance is just a reflection of who you are. I mean, you guys can't even embrace the fact that you're that low level. So when the resistance appears, you have to actually collapse that and come to the realization that the truth is you are a low level piece of shit. And you can sit here and you can get mad, you can get frustrated at the truth, but what we have to do is point out where you're flowing negative energy towards, and then what you need to do is actually eradicate your weaknesses instead of embrace them and then channel them and project them onto people who are pointing out what you would never come to the conclusion for because you don't think enough. And so your mind is a tool to actually get shit done in life. And most of you guys sit there, you stagnate in the same position. You never actually took a step forward. Matter of fact, you're walking down the staircase to hell while we're walking and elevating up the staircase to heaven. And so to sit there as a lesser individual through the habits and through your own conduct, because the conduct is a reflection of your soul. What are you conducing into your mind to reflect into your reality? What are you actually consciously navigating yourself towards in life? Where are you going with your life? What is the accumulation of your thoughts? Where are you moving? What veracities are you creating with your existence? What does your existence reflect? What is the momentum? What is the motivation for you to even exist? Why do you even exist as a person? What is the reason for you to occupy space and time, to sit there and beat your dick to porn, you fucking dumb bitch? How about you do yourself a favor and look in the mirror and confront that pussy, and then reflect on how much you are failing at being a human. Where the fuck is this consciousness spectrum of the rainbow hue at? And not no pride shit, but some real shit. You have to understand that the rainbow is, what happened, it goes back into consciousness. You have to understand that ultraviolet is the highest level of consciousness. And so when we look at your frequency, of course, you're operating in a root chakra, low level, frequency. So what you need to do is get out of that lust. You need to get out of that porn addiction, and you need to rise through your chakras and frequencies. And how do you do that? Well, you simply confront the bitch in the mirror. You don't have to do all the, spiritual, quote unquote spiritual. All you need to do is develop as an individual. All you need to do is truly understand you're flawed, say you're a bitch, and do some shit to fix some shit. You don't have to go into the depthness. All you have to do is literally fix yourself, and you will see that everything will reveal to you in your own form of understanding. The ideations, the conclusions, the concepts within concepts will all spontaneously, you will start to comprehend reality with a higher quality of understanding, a higher degree of seeing. You will have higher levels of clarity. You guys, the reason you suffer in these inadequacies is because you lack clarity. You lack clairsentience. You lack vision. You are your mental frameworking is disrupting the way you perceive reality. So the way you perceive reality is actually very flawed. The way you perceive the Ferrari that drives by, of course, it's a rental, is you creating a belief system to navigate yourself away from the gap between the individual in the Ferrari and you walking down the street. And so the moment you actually embrace that gap is the moment you can actually take steps towards putting in the work to actually, start making your way towards that direction. But most of you guys need to be instantly gratified because you're a fucking low-level primate, debauched fuck. And so you can't actually look in the mirror and realize that you're failing miserably. And everything you desire is what you can and should attain because people around you are doing it. But of course, you're the outlier. You're the special one who seems to never actually get what they want out of life. You're the person who can't do it. You're the person who has all these doubts and all these fears and all these anxiety. You're the special one. You're the outcast. And guess what? Bitch! You outcasted yourself. And you have to understand that you aren't separate from creation. You are creation in motion. You are not in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself because you are simply the consequence of the universe evolving into human form. And so you are simply just in the playground of the universe in which you can create. But most of you guys dispel yourself. Most of you guys create these belief systems to navigate yourself away from what you love and then compensate for that through the addiction, through the negative habits, and through these negative emotions that you stir up and then project onto people who are literally giving you the clarity that you'll never receive ever, because how rare is it to actually have somebody enlighten you to what the fuck you lack. And so what you need to do is look at the individual in the mirror, look at your habits, understand that is a direct reflection of who the fuck you are, and do some shit to fix that bitch in the mirror. Peace.